Hi kids, my name is Mike and I am a statistician. Ms. McCleskey told me that you guys are working on a unit in statistics for your math class, and she asked if I could help out with some ideas or some other things we could talk about, and if I could help you understand some of the concepts that we're going to be learning during this unit. So I've decided to make a series of videos, one that you can watch each day as you're preparing your homework and getting ready for what's going to happen in class the next day. In this first video, I want to talk about recognizing a statistical question and how to write a statistical question. So statistics is the analysis of data. Now there's data all over the place. Everything you do in your life, whether you know it or not, has been affected to some extent by people looking at data and doing some analysis on the data. And I want to kind of introduce you to how to do that yourselves. Now you guys are in 6th grade, and that's great, but you're not going to be solving world hunger or curing cancer. But we can do some basic statistical experiments to kind of find out how to collect data and how to present data and show people what's going on in a certain process. So let me give you some ideas. So what is data? Well, data are variables that we can collect, and there's lots and lots and lots of different kinds of data. For example, you could go to all your friends or all the people in the class and you could say, hey, what's your favorite kind of car? Or what's your favorite video game that you like to play, or what color do you like the best? And then you would write down responses, and that would all be data. Well, data break out into two different piles. That's really important to keep these two different piles, to understand the difference between these piles. One of them is called categorical data. That means the data are categories. And the other one is called quantitative. That's kind of a long word, quantitative data. And that basically means they're numbers. As you're doing this project, I think you should focus on doing statistical questions where you're talking about numbers. So, for example, asking people what their favorite kind of car is, that's interesting information, but that's categorical response. They're not going to answer 7. They're going to say, oh, I like Honda, or I like Subaru, or I like Toyota. And those are good responses, but those are categories. So I want you to think differently than that. I want you to think about things you can actually measure with numbers. So let's come up with some ideas of what you can measure with numbers. Some things I was thinking about are the following. What if you had a big jar of pennies? A lot of people have jars of pennies at home, or at least they used to. I don't know if you still do or not. What if you started to wonder, I wonder how many pennies the average 6th grader can grab in one hand. And then you could stick your hand in the jar, grab out a bunch of pennies, and count those pennies and say, oh, I got 52 pennies this time. So is that the right answer? Is that everybody's always going to get 52? Well, no. In fact, if you were to do it again, if you threw those pennies back in the jar and you went and did it again, maybe this time you ended up getting 66 pennies. Well, which is the right answer? 52 or 66? The truth is they're neither the right answer, but they're both measurements of a sample that you can take. And this is what I want you to think about when you're collecting data. So I want you to ask yourself questions like this. What is the average of this? Or what is the average of that? So here are some ideas you could use as you're doing your project. The first one I've already told you. What is the average number of pennies a 6th grader can pick up in their hand? Or maybe it would be marbles, or maybe it would be Mancala stones, or something like that. Just something you have a whole bunch of, and you can put them in a jar or a bowl or something, and reach in and just grab as many as you can and then pull them out and count them. That would be collecting quantitative data. Here's some other ideas. What if you had a really good kitchen scale? I've got a scale like this. It's electronic. It's very accurate. It's not spring. I can push the buttons. I can put something on. I can find out how much it weighs to the nearest 1/10 of a gram or something like that. Well, what if you said, if you go into your kitchen, there's a lot of opportunity to collect data in there. What if we wanted to know, what is the average weight of a marshmallow? Well, you could measure one marshmallow, and that would be all you have. And that would be an estimate of what the average weight is, but it really doesn't tell you anything. But if you measured a whole bunch, one at a time, and wrote down the different measurements, then that would be a way to collect data. So that's something else you could do. What if you walked around the classroom? I imagine Ms. McCleskey's got a bunch of books in the classroom. What if you thought, I wonder what the average number of pages in the books in our classroom is? Well, that would be easy. You go around, pick a book off the shelf, thumb through it, see if the pages are numbered, find out what the last page number is. Or if they're not numbered, you can just count them yourself. And then you'd write it down, and then you go put the book back, and then you go pick another book and see how many pages it has, and you could write a bunch of those down. What if you were to, here I've got some fruit snacks here. You guys like fruit snacks? Well, These are Kellogg's fruit snacks. And if you open them up, there's some blue ones and there's some red ones. I don't know how many different flavors there are. But what if you want to think, what if you said, I wonder what the average number of blue fruit snacks in a Kellogg's Fruity Snacks mixed berry bag is? Well, one way you could do that, you could open this up, pull them out. You could say, there's 6 blue ones in this one. You write the 6 down, and then you eat the fruit snacks. Then you get somebody else, if you're sick of eating fruit snacks, or if you want some more, you go get another one. You open it up, count this one. Maybe this one has 3 blue fruit snacks, so you write the 3 down. That's another way of collecting quantitative data, and it will help you answer a question of what is the average number of blue fruit snacks in a little packet. Excuse me, I have a cough today. Here's another example. Let's suppose, do you guys play that game? I think it's called bocce balls. You ever play that out in your yard or something? Well, what if on the day you're collecting data and you're out at recess, you set up an experiment where you got a stick or a stake or something and you poked it in the ground, and then you had people stand back from that stick, I don't know, what, 20, 30 feet maybe, and have them throw a ball out there and see where it lands. And you tell them, hey, try to land this as close to the stick as you can. So somebody throws the ball out, somebody else got a measuring tape, you get the measuring tape out there, and you measure how far away it is. Now this measuring tape is in inches. It would be very useful if you actually had a measuring tape that was also had metric units, can do centimeters or something, because it converts to a decimal much easier. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, these are just some of the ideas I came up with. Now, think about something you like to do. Here's another idea I can't demonstrate because I don't have any, but maybe you've got a cereal that's a bunch of colored little balls, very much like the fruit snack. You could say, hey, I wonder if I took a 1-cup measuring cup and scooped up a cup of that cereal, and I put it in a bowl and I counted how many yellow ones were in there. Maybe that would be something else you could do. You could do that with all kinds of things. You can do it with cereals. You can do it with Skittles. You can do it with fruit snacks, obviously. You can do it with a lot of different stuff. Anyway, I just want you to be thinking of a question that's interesting to you and kind of think of it in terms of, hey, what is the average of this? So it needs to be a number that you're going to be measuring. Okay, so that's all we're going to talk about today. And in the next video I create, we will talk about how to do something with those numbers, create dot plots, frequency tables, histograms, things like that. Have a great day and have fun collecting your data.